All right, so usually when we crack open the file on some Hollywood legal battle, you kind of know what you're going to find,
Oh,
right?
totally. It's
Yeah.
almost comforting in its predictability.
Yeah. Someone breached a contract or, I don't know, stole a screenplay idea.
Maybe some creative accounting to hide profits. It's business.
Exactly. It's all very dry. But today we are looking at something else entirely. It feels like an attempt to rewrite the rules of, well, human interaction itself.
That's a great way to put it. We're not looking at broken contracts. We're looking at broken feelings that have been, I don't know, itemized and categorized and turned into a legal threat.
It's a huge shift. We're moving from breach of contract into something more like litigation therapy.
Right. A situation where a bad day at the office, a really cringy celebrity interview, and, genuine workplace harassment are all being collapsed into a single legal theory.
We are diving deep into a transcript from a video by journalist Kirsty Flaw, and most of you are going to know her from that viral, just absolute nightmare of an interview with Blake Lively.
The one from the Cafe Society press tour.
Yeah.
It resurfaced everywhere during all the "It Ends With Us" drama.
That's the one. But Kirsty has released a new video, and the title tells you everything. It's My Lawsuit Against Blake Lively.
2 exclamation points.
2 exclamation points. And we need to be really clear about our mission here.
We're not here to play referee. We're not on Team Blake or Team Kirsty.
Not at all. Our goal is to unpack the source material, which is, it's basically a legal brief disguised as a YouTube video.
She's analyzing whether she has a stronger legal case against Blake Lively than Lively might have against, say, Justin Baldoni in the Wayfair Parties situation.
It's such a bold premise. She's taking these incredibly awkward, uncomfortable social moments and framing them through these really heavy legal concepts like hostile work environment,
Sexualized conduct, economic coercion. It's a masterclass in reframing, really.
Well,
She's taking social friction, rudeness, bad jokes, being ignored, and applying a very rigid legal framework to it. She's looking at the receipts, the actual video clips, and arguing these aren't just bad manners.
she's arguing they constitute damages, actionable harm.
Trauma and professional harm, yes.
Okay, so let's get into the evidence. Exhibit A. This has to be the Cafe Society incident from 2016.
Right. And context here is key. It's 2016. Kirsty is a journalist. She's there to do her job, interviewing Blake Lively and Parker Posey.
And she goes in smiling, ready to go.
And then it happens almost instantly.
Yeah.
Kirsty sits down, congratulates them on the movie, and Blake Lively just looks at her and says, "Congrats on your little bump."
And the crucial fact here, for anyone who somehow missed this kite, Kirsty was not pregnant.
No, there was no bump.
It's that full-body cringe moment. I think everyone who watches it feels it physically, but Kirsty argues this goes way beyond just being rude or a slip of the tongue.
She breaks it down into 3 distinct categories of harm. First, fat shaming, just by drawing attention to her body. Second, general body shaming. But the third one is the most specific, legally speaking, reproductive shaming.
Implying pregnancy where there is none.
Exactly.
But couldn't it have just been a mistake? A really bad one, but an honest mistake?
The source material completely shuts that down. Kirsty's argument is that this was retaliatory, done out of spite.
So a tactic, not a blunder.
A tactic to throw the interviewer off balance from the very first second. And it worked. The interview derailed immediately. But it doesn't stop with the comment.
No, because then the environment of the room itself becomes part of the argument.
Right. This is where she introduces the idea of group mockery, because Parker Posey is sitting right there. And this is also where this sexualized conduct charge comes in, which is maybe the most complex piece of this.
Yeah, I found this part a little baffling at first, because right after the bump comment, the conversation shifts to, lumps.
Lively and Posey start talking about their lovely lady lumps.
And the source says they're physically gesturing toward their own chests.
Yes. Now, a skeptic might say, okay, they're quoting a Black Eyed Peas song. They're making a joke about themselves. How is that harassment?
Right.
But Kirsty is applying a very modern, very strict standard of workplace safety here. Her definition is that sexualization doesn't require touching you. It doesn't even require targeting you.
So just having to listen to that kind of language, the lovely lady lumps, in a professional setting you didn't consent to, that's the violation.
That's precisely the argument. She says, I could not exit that moment. I was stuck there. She was a captive audience. And because she couldn't leave without, losing her job or the story, she was forced to endure it.
And that feeling of being stuck
Yeah.
really gets to the power dynamics, which seems to be the foundation of her entire theory.
It's everything. It's two world-famous actresses versus one, as she puts it, random journalist. They held all the power, and by introducing that humor, they created what she calls a toxic workplace that she, as the subordinate, had to endure.
Okay, so that covers the harassment angle. But then the argument pivots to the actual journalism, which brings us to the costume question.
Segment 2 of her case. Kjersti finally manages to ask a question, and it's a total sleazeball for a 1930s period piece.
She asks, "Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes?"
A totally standard question. But the reaction was just icy.
Lively ignores her, doesn't even look at her. Instead, she turns away and says,
I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
which on the surface sounds like a feminist critique, right?
Yeah.
The whole Ask Her More campaign.
It sounds like that. But Kjersti's argument is that Lively was imputing sexist intent onto her, that she reframed my journalism as discrimination.
And then comes the real pivot.
The real pivot. Lively immediately turns to Parker Posey, and they start talking exclusively about the men's wardrobe.
So wait, asking about the women's clothes is sexist.
But gushing over the men's suits is perfectly fine.
The contradict.
The source calls it selective outrage and gender-based gatekeeping. The argument is that Lively set an arbitrary moral rule and then immediately broke it herself. It wasn't about feminism, it was about exclusion.
And the results was that Kjersti was basically prevented from doing her job.
She calls it the freeze-out,
Yeah.
that she was silenced and excluded. In legal terms, she frames it as retaliatory disengagement. They literally turn their backs on her.
And she even brings the entourage into it, right? The publicists and agents.
High standard liability. That's a huge part of workplace safety law. She argues that Lively's team had a duty of care to intervene, and by just standing by and letting it happen, they failed to maintain a safe work environment.
It's interesting how often she uses the word trauma for these moments, and that carries over to the next incident 2 years later.
Right, in 2018, for the movie A Simple Favor. And this is where she brings in that very specific legal concept, economic coercion.
Which is really just a fancy way of saying, I had bills to pay.
Exactly. She knows you're going to ask, why on earth would you go back? Her answer is she couldn't afford not to. So her survival becomes evidence of coercion.
But this time, she brought her partner, Magnus, which leads us to the gin incident.
Which is it's truly bizarre. So Magnus sits down for the interview. It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
10 a.m.?
And Blake Lively hands him a glass of Aviation American gin. Her husband's company, of course.
And she doesn't just offer it, right?
No. Kjersti claims she pressured him to just shoot it. There's audio of her chanting, just shoot it, just shoot it.
So Kjersti frames this as alcohol-based pressure and unsafe workplace conduct.
And it's a valid point. I mean, Lively had no idea if Magnus was sober, if he had addiction issues, if he was driving. He was just put on the spot by a huge celebrity.
And he felt like he had to drink to keep the interview going.
But the interview didn't even stay on the movie.
Right. This is the commercial hijacking part.
Instead of talking about A Simple Favor, Lively just starts talking about the gin, the distillation, the juniper, the whole sales pitch.
But celebrities plug stuff all the time. How is that a legal issue?
It becomes one because of where they work. They're reporting for Swedish outlets. And Sweden has incredibly strict laws about advertising alcohol.
Ah, so because Lively turned the whole interview into a gin ad.
The footage was unusable. It was illegal to broadcast in their market. She effectively destroyed the product they were there to create.
And the sexualized language argument comes back here, too.
According to the source, yes. Lively apparently used the word sexy 5 times in 4 minutes.
I mean, she called the gin sexy, the glass sexy, Ryan Reynolds sexy. He is her husband.
True, but Kjersti argues it's a pattern, a boundary crossing. She even claims the flirtatious vibe interfered with her relationship with Magnus and caused her secondary trauma.
Secondary trauma, wow. Okay, so we've got the 2016 shaming, the 2018 coercion. Now let's jump to the aftermath.
This is where it all starts to feel very real. Kjersti points to a New York Times article from December 2024 titled, "We Can Bury Anyone."
Which just sounds like a line from a mob movie.
It really does. And Kjersti was named in it. She sees this as the beginning of an orchestrated smear campaign. The story being pushed was that she was paid by Justin Baldoni's team to make Lively look bad.
She denies that.
Vehemently. And she claims this article just unleashed the internet on her. She talks about astroturfing.
Let's just quickly define that for anyone who isn't chronically online.
It's fake grassroots support. Basically, paying people or using bots to create the illusion that everyone hates someone. Kiersey claims her Wikipedia page was being edited 50 to 100 times a day.
A day. That's a full-time job for someone.
Exactly. Removing her career achievements, adding negative framing, she argues it was a smear ecosystem designed to destroy her credibility.
And she claims there were real financial consequences. There's a specific sponsorship she mentions.
And this is just the height of irony. She claims she lost a sponsorship deal with Mint Mobile.
You're kidding! Mint Mobile, Ryan Reynolds' company.
The very same. She says they wanted to sponsor her, but the deal fell through because of the controversy, which she blames on Lively's camp. The logic is just a tangled web.
So she's claiming lost income, reputational damage, emotional distress. But the most, I guess, mind-bending part of this whole thing is the philosophy behind it.
Segment 5. This is where we leave the facts and get into the logic. Kiersey says, and this is a direct quote, "This case is based on facts and a lot of emotions."
Because my feelings matter. That's the core of it.
It is. She's arguing for a subjective standard of harm. The law usually asks, would a reasonable person find this offensive? She's arguing, I found it offensive, therefore it was.
That's a huge legal shift. It basically says, if I feel hurt, you are liable no matter what your intent was.
And then she sets this. It's
Remember
like a logic trap for Blake Lively.
the trap.
It's a rhetorical bind. Kiersey argues that if Blake Lively or her team responds to any of this, if they deny it, if they defend themselves, that response is just a continuation of the smear campaign.
So if Lively defends herself, she's guilty of more harassment.
Precisely. Defense is framed as aggression. And then she adds the support women paradox. She says, since Blake Lively claims to support women, she must support Kiersey. If she doesn't, she proves she's a hypocrite.
It's a closed loop. There's no valid move for the accused to make. Silence is an admission of guilt, but defense is more aggression.
It's designed to be inescapable. And she wraps it all up by saying her evidence, the video of the bump, the audio of the gin pressure, is way stronger than whatever claims Lively might have in the Wayfair Party's case.
So we've traveled from a cringy little bump comment all the way to a full-blown theory of economic and emotional warfare.
It really challenges our definitions. Where does a bad interview end and a hostile workplace begin? If a celebrity ignores your question, is that marginalization?
And the Wikipedia stuff. If people online don't like you, can you hold the person you interviewed years ago legally responsible for it?
Kiersey's theory argues yes, you can. It connects dots that are usually miles apart. But the key takeaway for me is that the source argues the accused cannot defend themselves without deepening the injury.
Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to end on, doesn't it? The source argues that if Blake Lively defends herself, it just proves she's a bully. So if we applied that standard universally to every workplace dispute, every bad date, every argument you have, how would anyone ever resolve a conflict?
If defense is impossible, then accusation becomes the verdict. And that is a very, very different system than the one we have now.
Something to think about. That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.